Let there be no ambiguity. To hell with the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. To anybody who has even a modicum of understanding of what socialism is, they would know very well the DSA are not socialists. And it does nothing but drive me up the wall. People... Yeah, I just had the dog keep fucking barking. You fucking asshole. One, let me be clear so that there is no ambiguity. To hell with the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. Let me explain something. Anybody who has even a basic modicum of understanding of what socialism is knows that they are not socialists. And this is really, really obvious. And it's infuriating listening to people think that they are. That these social democrats, these Western European-style social democrats, are somehow socialist. Okay, here's the particular argument that I am so adamantly opposed to. They're not helping. So many people say, oh, yeah, but look, see, they're pulling people towards socialism by doing this. No, they're not. They're not pulling people towards socialism. This is false. It is not true. We get these polls that say, look, 50% of Americans are young Americans are pro-socialism. Now, keep in mind that most of these so-called studies are coming from places like PragerU and are not reliable, considering that things like PragerU think that everything is socialism. These are the same kinds of people, the people that they're talking about, these people who are supposedly 50% in favor of socialism, think that the military is a socialist institution. Now, this idea that somehow the goddamn DSA or anybody who just simply says, maybe we should put some kind of regulation on this or such company is therefore automatically a socialist. I expect dumbass libertarians to say that. I expect MAGA idiots to say things like that. I do not expect other leftists to be saying things like that. Socialism is not capitalism with a happy face. It is not one with a brown face or a black face or a yellow face. Socialism is the opposite of capitalism. None of this in-between garbage. Oh, well, it's like a process. If they like this, then they're going to like this other socialism. No, it's not. By that kind of anti-second internationalist garbage. The whole idea of social democracy was to put a pleasant face on capitalism, give them the nice reforms so they won't rebel and replace the system. And it has been extremely effective in doing so. That's why the bourgeoisie push, or particular sections of the bourgeoisie push so many democratic reforms like this. Nice, safe, liberal reforms to placate people so that they don't overthrow the system. That's why they do it. And supporting them doing it is not pushing them in the right direction. Social democracy is not closer to socialism than capitalism is. It's still goddamn capitalism. In fact, it pushes people closer to capitalism because you keep telling them that you can make capitalism better. It's not. You're pushing people away from socialism, not towards socialism. But first worldists are so desperate to get something in them, to claim that there's some kind of movement going on, to claim that there's some kind of there's some kind of hope, that there's a movement going on. It's not there. No matter how hard they try, it is false. It is wrong. It is anti-socialist. To support the DSA is anti-socialist. No Kashama Sawant, no Cortez claiming, oh look, there's going to be socialism now. We got some fucking retard from the goddamn Democratic Party elected. So that means things are going to totally change. Ask Bernie Sanders what happens. Ask the entire debate over the Second International of what happens. We have literally already been through this. We did this already with the Second International. We don't need to be doing this again. But people don't learn. They don't get it. There is one thing liberals and conservatives, or should I say the first world left and conservatives have in common. Anything the government does is now socialism. And that's essentially it. Bernie Sanders. Oh, let's regulate Walmart. Oh, see, it's socialism coming in. We need to support Bernie Sanders. No, you need to be doing revolution. Why are you attacking workers' struggles to get better conditions? I'm not attacking workers' struggles to get better conditions. I'm attacking something that isn't socialism, something that's designed to take people away from socialism. And by no means is it just me. A lot of people are saying that. It's frankly not enough. But we keep seeing this garbage over and over again. This infuriates me because if I say, hey, maybe we should organize the really truly oppressed and exploited in the world towards revolution, and these first world screamers saying, oh, you just hate first world people, blah, 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 and then turn around and support something that is anti-socialism. So for those of us who aren't reactionary pieces of shit and say, hey, we should really support Syria against imperialism. Oh my God, you support Syrian dictatorship, blah, blah, blah. You're such a reactionary. Meanwhile, you're cheering on destroying that. You notice this is the same kind of people. It's the same kind of complete and utter nonsense. And it drives me up the wall how ignorant these people are of socialism. China is not socialist. You saw the debate I had with that guy. He had to leave the debate because he couldn't justify a stock market trading, a mass trading of private ownership of companies as somehow being socialism. Or somehow having billionaires in the party is socialism. Or Xi Jinping himself being a multi-millionaire somehow being socialism. Or say, well, you know, billionaires can play a part in economic planning. Why? Why do you have them there at all? Yeah, but China is like state-run, and the state plans the economy. But also there's billionaires for economic planning. Well, then what do you need the billionaires for? I mean, this is complete and utter nonsense. It's first worldists are so desperate to hang on to some kind of victory, to hang on something that gives them hope, that they're willing to grab onto things that aren't real, that aren't socialism, that aren't socialist movements. The truth is, the people of the United States do not want socialism. No ridiculous PragerU study contradicts that. When you're defending the DSA, you're defending social democracy. And then you could say all this stuff about Rosa Luxemburg, blah, 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 etc. But it's really not relevant in this case. What's really relevant here is pushing people to reform capitalism. Capitalism doesn't become socialism through reform. Because a lot of these people will criticize Venezuela for that. Look at what you're doing. It's social democracy. It's not socialism. You can't reform capitalism. And that's true. But then they turn around and do it themselves. Because you can bribe these people. They are not the real proletariat of the world. Because you could just bribe them. Give them their $15 an hour. And they'll shut up. Give them their free school and they'll shut up. They don't want a whole new world. They just want the same one that already exists, all the benefits of living in a first world country that brutally exploits the third world, with just some more nice reforms to make it even better for them. It's right there. We see it. It doesn't matter how many people are homeless in America and how many empty homes there are at the same time, because it still doesn't seem to do anything. You can point to the poverty rate in the United States. You can point to how people can't afford a place to live in so many cities because landlords are assholes. It still doesn't translate them to wanting to actually do revolution. it translates them into wanting reforms to change that. And then they have the audacity to turn around and say, oh, well, the Bolshevik Party did a whole bunch of these reforms. You know, they were pushing for these reforms. Okay, you're not feudal fucking Russia. Do you understand that? You're not them, okay? You're not anywhere close to them. And as much of this is true in the United States, there's even less revolutionary potential in Canada. Canada, the lumpen bourgeoisie in Canada, which is largely a lot of the working people in the first world, but specifically in this case, Canada, already have so many benefits, as many of which are being taken away at this time. But we have them, and we have less revolutionary potential than the United States does. So what they do is they then turn around and go, well, what about black people being killed by the police? I mean, this is an epidemic. Well, yes, that epidemic certainly is there. There's no denying that. Well, I mean, you could deny it, but you'd be a lying piece of shit. But is that translating to anything to do with revolution in the First World? It isn't. We've not heard from Black Lives Matter in how long? The injustice is still there. It's still very much still there. But, you know, dead silence. Not hearing anything. Now, I'm not attacking Black Lives Matter. I'm saying, look at what these things always turn into. They always get liberalized into asking for reforms, not revolution. I mean, even right from the beginning, Black Lives Matter was not asking for revolution. They were asking to not be killed by the police, which is a perfectly legitimate request, to not die for being a particular skin color. But it's not revolution, and it's not revolutionary potential. The RCP, the Bobovakian RCP had to learn this the hard way. They went to Occupy Wall Street, and they tried to be the vanguard, to absorb the thing against Wall Street in the midst of the crisis, and they got told to fuck off. When the riots happened after, the various police killings, particularly in St. Louis, this is more than one, the RCP went down there, and what happened? Basically, the black proletariat told them to fuck off. I'm not saying anything people don't already know. I'm saying something that they won't accept. It's very clear that the American population, even the overwhelming vast majority of the American people, don't want a revolution. They don't want a whole new system. People in feudal Russia, or even the Paris Commune, or China, they wanted a whole new system. They wanted to get rid of the one that exists. Meanwhile, the vast majority of the American population wants some changes. They don't want a whole new system. They want all the privilege that comes with being from the first world, whether they realize it or not. If you redistributed wealth across the world equally, do you know how far the United States would come down? It would, what is it, the United States consumes at 4.5 times the level of what would be sustainable for the entire world? So you'd be taking the United States down to less than a quarter of what it is now. And do you think that this so-called revolutionary proletariat would accept that? Absolutely not. Now, I know this was supposed to be, a simple thing that's now turned into a massive speech, but it's something that certainly needs to be said. The DSA is not helping. And you can't claim that this gets people over to the side of socialism when what they're doing is reforming capitalism into something that'll be more palatable to them. And here's another thing I want to add. Groups like the DSA appropriate our language, Marxist language, and they water it down and liberalize it to the point to where it means nothing. Socialism is the rejection of capitalism and moving on to an entire new mode of production. But at the same time, they redefine anything the government does as being socialism. And that's just the way it is. The fact is the DSA is ruining the ability of socialists to organize. Never mind the possibilities for organization or the possibilities for revolution. Just the basic bottom level organization. The DSA is ruining it. These liberals destroy our language. They water it down until it means absolutely nothing anymore. And then they act like they're the saviors, and like they're not making things worse. Worse for revolution. Better for capitalism. They're putting a nicer, better face on it that people will accept it. And that's frankly true. Sorry for that little jump cut there. I've been recording too long. But, you know, with all of that, you know, I'm not saying anything people don't already know. I'm saying something people don't accept. The DSA is not helping. And nothing they do is going to change that. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.